All right, so I'd like to introduce you now to Rachel Brown, who is our facilitator today. And Rachel and I co-facilitated a workshop a little while ago, and it was so much fun. And she really talks about social media in a way that is so accessible. And I couldn't wait to just ask her to join us today and share what she knows about social media with all of us. So I'm going to turn things over to Rachel.
Thanks, Carrie. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I wanted to start off today with a quick poll. So just wonder if everyone could participate, just so we have a better idea of everyone's experience. So everyone should see that post on their screen now. If you could just take a quick second to fill that out, that'd be great. So I think almost everyone has filled it out. So what I'm seeing is there's a mix of people who are comfortable or intermediate or don't really know a lot about social media. So I'm going to do my best to make this presentation sort of middle of the road with some tips for everyone. So I've just shared the results of the poll quickly, just so everyone can see. And then I will take those down.
Rachel, can I suggest adding one? You're comfortable, but you really don't want to have the chore of doing social media.
Yes, we will definitely chat about that today. I totally understand that. So without further ado, let's just get started. And feel free, please, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I'm happy to stop and talk about anything as we're going. And there'll also be time for questions at the end as well. So we're going to talk about how to use social media to reach your clients and partners. So just a little bit about myself. I am the Community Development and Communications Coordinator for the Workforce Development Board. And I also have an Advertising and Marketing Communications diploma from Sheridan College, and about 7 years of marketing experience, and 4 specifically in the nonprofit sector. Workforce Development Board is a local planning board, and we are one of 26 in Ontario, and we cover Peterborough, Northumberland, Kawartha Lakes, and Haliburton. And yes, this is my dog Luna. She is a rescue, and I just thought, why not put a picture of her instead of myself, because I'm here with you. So yeah, she's not with me today here, but she's here right now. So the first thing I wanted to touch base on is why we use social media. And there's all sorts of different stats that we can spill out about how everyone uses their time on social media, how it's great to share our lives and work with images and videos and websites, and it's become a whole new thing. But what we forget sometimes about social media is why we do it in the first place. And it's to be social, to connect with your community and sort of create engagement. And we know since the pandemic, when everything has turned to online, people were looking to social media more and more to connect with others. So the first thing I wanted to chat about is what platform is right for you and your organization. And I guarantee everyone here probably has at least one social media platform, whether that's through your organization or through your personal or anything else. And what you really want to determine first of all is what your specific demographic is. Who is your audience? Are you speaking to young people? Are you speaking to retirees? Are you speaking to specifically literacy learners? Are you speaking to employers? Or is it sort of a mixed bag and you're speaking to everyone? And then you want to determine your comfort level or skill. And that's part of the reason I added the poll at the beginning. I wanted to see what everyone's comfort level is like, because everyone is different and not every social platform is for everyone. And you don't have to use them all, and you don't have to be all encompassing, but it is worth the effort to use some of them. So the next thing you want to determine is what you're trying to do. Are you trying to get somebody to join an event? Are you wanting to share information with others? Do you want to drive traffic to your website or increase awareness about what you do in your organization? All of these are important things to think about before you jump into using a platform if you don't already have one. So these are just a few tips and reminders and best practices. So with social media, the biggest thing that you want to see, which I know is the hardest thing, is consistency. So I know we all have terribly busy lives, and even for myself with my own role at the Workforce Development Board, social media tends to take a back burner when I have other deadlines and other projects. But the one thing that I do consistently do is take some time out of my calendar to schedule posts. So being consistent, posting, 1-2 times a week, but you don't have to do that. If you want to post once a month, continue to post once a month, once a week. It doesn't have to be multiple times a day. Whatever you can fit in will be beneficial for you. So it's a good idea to build in scheduling and checking and creating and sharing content either into your day or into your week or into your month. Or is it possible for you to share the role with someone in your organization and really sort of split up the duties, which I find helpful. So another thing about consistency is when we want to find people online, you want to make sure that your handles and your profile images are the same. So if you have Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, et cetera, are all of those handles the same? Are they all linked on your website? Are they all linked to each other? So, if you're trying to find someone's Twitter account, is it the exact same handle as their Facebook account? So just those few little things make it really easy to find and streamline. Obviously, every exact handle isn't always available because it's already taken, but make it something that's consistent across all of your platforms so you're easy to find, so you're accessible. And one really helpful thing that I find, even just, not in my work life, but even in my personal life, if you're looking up somebody's profile bio on Instagram or the About section on Facebook, make sure that your full organization name, your mission, your location, your office hours, whatever people need to get to you is up to date and there first. So if you have a phone number where people need to reach you, put that phone number in your bio and make sure it's consistent across all the platforms that you use. The next thing that you should do is think about your content. So we all know that videos and images are ridiculously popular, and there's all sorts of different things that you can do to get attention to what you're doing. So I find that it's always best to include an image with your post verbiage that you're posting, but you can also do videos as well. There's lots of different trending sound clips that you can use. So we see a lot of things on TikTok spill over to Instagram, spill over to Facebook. So that's something that you can use to draw attention to anything you're posting about. And what you really want to do is make your content relatable and engaging to your audience or business. So maybe if you're speaking to young people, you might want to use a trending sound clip. Maybe if you're speaking to businesses, you might want to use a different platform than you do to reach young people. And something else that works really well in terms of content is testimonials. And I find that regardless of your business, or your organization or what you're promoting, that testimonials are a great way to tell people about what others think about you. Another thing that's really common that I see a lot is introducing your staff via your social media. So people get that comfort level of who they're working with and maybe more likely to reach out if they see a friendly face, or, you know, you post a bio about one of your staffs that likes dogs, and maybe the person looking for your services likes dogs, and, you know, they have something to connect about that isn't necessarily specifically through your organization. The next point that I wanted to make about content is to make sure that you deactivate any accounts that are not active. This is actually one of my biggest pet peeves. So when somebody's looking for you online, you go to their social media account and you see they haven't posted anything since 2012. And you're thinking, well, why do they even have this account? So sometimes there may be content that they want to keep on there. If there is extenuating circumstances that make you want to keep the platform but not utilize it, maybe throw up a post saying, see us over on Twitter if you don't use that account, or another social media platform that you do use. That way there's no stagnancy about it. The next content piece is utilize your cover photos to share information or services, and change this up. If someone's looking for you or finding your profile, your cover page on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or Twitter can utilize that space to, or you can also pin things to your profiles, but can utilize that space to advertise different events or what you do or what you're about. It's a really great way to sort of change things up. And just some further reminders about connection. So one thing that we really want to try to do is to make all social content mobile friendly. Most people are viewing social media on their phone, so we want to make sure that they're seeing everything properly, the images aren't cut off. And in terms of connection, it's great to follow, like, or tag or comment on other organizations' posts that you like or that are relevant to you. And really, engagement is more important than followers. So if you don't have anything to post yourself, you just start sharing other people's posts, and you'll be amazed at the community and network that's built through that when you start sharing other people's posts and they start sharing yours. And the next thing is you want to ensure that your active social accounts are connected to your website and are easy to find. And I mentioned this previously, but if you don't have an easy access or way to get to your social media, people are probably not going to seek you out unless they're referred or linked to somebody else. So, for example, adding your social media links to your email signature and newsletters. There is so many free templates for email signatures and newsletters. You don't have to be a great graphic designer. There's so many different templates out there that can help you and really just make yourself accessible, let yourself be found. Another thing I wanted to mention is to be mindful of seasonal changes that may be affecting viewership or engagement. So, different holidays throughout the year where maybe people will be on social media a little bit less, a little bit more. And when we think about when and where to post things and how to connect with people, it's just something to keep in mind. And then the other thing is to cross promote on other platforms. And as I just saw a comment in the chat that said Canva is very good for making social media post friendly. And that's a great point. Yes, Canva is fantastic. If you don't have any sort of other programs, that Canva is really great and easy. There are a ton of templates. There are so many different free programs that you can follow to really help you out. So don't feel like you're sort of lost in the dark with social media on what to do. Just a few other reminders here. So If you don't have enough of your own content to promote, like I mentioned, just share others' content or comment on it, and follow other community partners on social platforms. It really promotes engagement and visibility. And like I mentioned before, most people will follow back or reciprocate. It's a great community, and what I mentioned before about social media being social. And another thing that I wanted to mention is that I know it's so difficult to get your head around how often social media is constantly changing. And I feel like every other day, Instagram or Facebook is changing their algorithm to what we're seeing and what we're not seeing. And if you're unfamiliar, you should check your analytics to see how your content is being received. And I threw in a hyperlink to a great blog post about analytics if you don't know anything about it. There's lots of great tips in there, and everyone will get a copy of this presentation afterwards, so you can check out that link later. The other thing that I wanted to mention in terms of accessibility is that not all platforms are fully AODA compliant. And what that means is there are some platforms that don't have alternative text and other features available to assist either visual or hearing impaired individuals. So there is a few platforms that do have the ability, and I encourage you that if you are posting on social media, to add that alternative text to describe pictures and different things for those with visual and hearing impairments. So I just wanted to take a quick few minutes to talk about Facebook, as it's, one of the what I call heavy hitters. So for this group in particular, when we're talking about literacy and we're talking about trying to connect with our partners, and we're trying to connect with learners and quote unquote customers, what really is helpful is to join public and private groups related to your business or interests. So if you're a member of a chamber of commerce, if you're a member of any sort of community group, a lot of them have Facebook groups where you can connect with different individuals and share different things. So I think it's a great idea if you're on Facebook to sort of do that and look for groups. I know that our organization is a member of many chambers of commerce, and I felt it so helpful to connect with like employers or different businesses where you can really connect with people who may need literacy services. The next thing that happened not too long ago was that Facebook joined with Instagram. So what they call themselves is Meta now. So if you haven't already done so, you can link your Instagram to your Facebook. So when you post on one platform or the other, there's actually a little button that says you can also post to the other platform. So while they are two different platforms, and you can and probably should edit your verbiage to reflect that, it's a really easy way to just get it out there when you don't have time, especially if you don't have any scheduling software or are new to either platform. It's a great way to really get there. Yeah, and I just noticed, thank you, Lee, for that message. You can also post to Twitter and Tumblr via Instagram as well. There's lots of different free software out there for cross-posting and scheduling and different things like that I find helpful, that I also use in my job. And something I briefly touched on before is what you want to do is pin posts that are relevant at the top of your Facebook homepage. So like I mentioned before, if somebody's coming to your page for the first time, not only is the cover photo going to be something that they see immediately, but they're going to see any posts that are relevant pinned to the top of the page. So if you have an event that's coming up, pin it to the top so it doesn't really get lost in the shuffle, because we know that you can, scroll and scroll and scroll and not get to the information you're looking for. So if it's something important, if it's something relevant, pin it to the top, and it's just a quick right click, pin it to the top. And the next thing I want to chat about was Facebook's business pages. So we all know if you have a business page that your personal page is connected to that, or you're the admin in the back end. So we want to make sure that you're liking and following as your business or organization. And I've noticed recently, actually, that it's even more fluid and can really sort of separate yourself personally from the business page. To that point, I wanted to say that if you don't want your personal page connected to your business page, you can just create sort of like a shell or ghost account and connect that. And then you can just keep everything together and not get confused between the two. So another tip that I wanted to mention about Facebook is that if you have a Facebook page, you can claim your vanity URL and access the Creative Manager for the scheduling features. So we talked about having time for social media and getting lost in doom scrolling. But if you want to sit down and schedule some time, Facebook does have a scheduling feature if you do have a business page. So it's really handy. And I encourage everyone to go check that out when you do have the time. And as I mentioned previously, the news feed and page can now be separated from your personal account, which is great, which I'm very, very thankful for now. For Instagram, one of my biggest pet peeves is people posting links in their descriptions of underneath their pictures. I myself am guilty of it. However, I only do it when the links are shortened, and our organization is really lucky in that our website is only 3 letters. So it's really easy to type, but if you've ever used Instagram, you know that you cannot actively click any links in your description. So what I encourage people to do is to create a link in bio account so you can associate links with posts. There's so many different free software services out there that allow you to create a link in bio account. So you can really make it accessible for different things that you're posting about. So I personally use Later, which is a scheduling software, and I also use Hootsuite, but I find that different scheduling software is hard for Instagram. Because of just the size of the pictures. And we know that if you've ever created an image for Instagram, it's a very specific square size. So another popular thing for Instagram is using stories or reels or what they call carousels to post short videos. So if you want to use a particular sound or trending sound to increase your visibility, that's something that I encourage people to do. And if you don't know a lot about Instagram or Reels, there's tons of YouTube videos or tutorials or different workshops. Even I mentioned previously that if you're part of a, chambers of commerce or different economic development associations, often have marketing workshops to help small businesses and nonprofits with their marketing efforts, which I think is really great. And I've actually attended some myself, and they're usually really well done. So I encourage you to look to your communities for different free resources. And in terms of tips, Instagram does have the ability to let you edit posts on the mobile app after posting. And I really encourage people to resize photos to fit Instagram's dimensions so that they all fit properly. And we know when you look at Instagram on your homepage, you have a gallery of different images. And I also encourage people to stick to your brand or a certain color scheme, just because it looks nicer when you do the grid. Just something that we like to do. For Twitter, it's sort of a different audience for Twitter. I find specifically in our area, it's a little bit more political. It's a little bit more spicy. And I think we all know that characters are limited on Twitter. So it's great to add visuals or images to engage your audience. in terms of Twitter, because there is so many users, because there's so much content, we find that you should post more often so your posts don't get lost in the mix. Again, you can also use the pin feature on Twitter to really post different things to the top. And use keywords for your industry and sort of think quality over quantity. We want to make sure that every word counts because you only have so many characters. I think it's 280, but yeah, short and sweet. You cannot edit tweets once they are posted, which is the bane of most people's existence. And I really wish that they would come up with that feature or enable it, but I understand why they haven't. Since the length is so limited, it's in your best interest to add information to an image, including the text, or you can also create a thread of tweets. So you see Twitter thread, it's 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, and you can sort of continue it down the line. The other thing is, in terms of accessibility, we all want everything to be accessible, but we know there is so many different short forms for different businesses, different industries. And I encourage people to use short forms only if they're universally known. You know, a lot of people use "in case you missed it" or "did you know." It's just something that you want to keep in mind in terms of accessibility if people aren't aware of what the acronym is. Also, if your company name is an acronym, please spell it out for everyone in your bio to make sure that it's accessible for everyone if you have the space. Next, I want to talk about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, we know, is a very specific network for partner organizations. So if you have a LinkedIn account, you know that it's a network of all the people that you choose, but it's a great place to share about different information. It's a great place for people to share your stuff, really make that community. We have a great LinkedIn, specifically in our organization. Our board of directors are very supportive about sharing everything that we do. So if you have staff on LinkedIn, if you have board of directors, anything, utilize that to your advantage and get them to post and share all of your content. And really what we want to do is choose content based off your intended audience. So are you posting about a webinar you're hosting? Are you posting about a new report that you just put out? Are you just wanting to increase awareness of what you're doing and how it's going? If you have a business page, again, you can claim your page's URL. You can also do this with individual accounts. It really just makes that sort of URL easy to find, easy to read, instead of / 1, 2, 3, 4. It could have your company's name up there. So just another tip on that is make sure that you're connecting as your business page, if you have one, as again, LinkedIn personal accounts are connected to the business page in the back end as an admin. So just make sure that you're following and liking as your business or organization. And they have made it a little easier recently with a little drop down, and you can sort of choose your organization or yourself and how to like or respond to LinkedIn messages. The next point I want to talk about is hashtags. And I've heard a lot of conflicting advice about hashtags, so I'm just going to chat about a few things. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that you should be using multiple hashtags to reach different audiences in your posts. And you should check the hashtag that you would like to use on each platform before you use it. So is it already there? what comes up when it's searched. So if you have a hashtag and it has an acronym and it comes up with something, you know, inappropriate or something not related to your business, and it's really, really popular, maybe you want to choose a different acronym for your organization. And you want to choose a hashtag with good viewership, but not necessarily millions, because it would get lost in the mix. So for example, like these are some examples of different literacy hashtags, and thanks to Summer from Literacy Link South Central for some of these. So what do you want to make sure is that you're creating unique and organizational content relevant hashtags. So there are some that are used for different organizations. So sometimes we're talking about the government, some people might use GOCs. We might talk about, you know, Literacy ON for Literacy Ontario, a bunch of different things. So with hashtags, usually more is better. You can also use location hashtags for in terms of where you are and where you want your content to be seen. But if you don't have any experience with hashtags, I really encourage you to just search through them. And yes, I just saw a comment in the chat about hashtags were written in lowercase. Depending on the platform, some of them do revert to all lowercase or all uppercase. I know when you use hashtags in stories and Instagram, they usually revert to all uppercase. But in terms of accessibility and readability, it's better to capitalize each letter or each word. It actually makes it easier for people to read. Sorry, I was just reading a question in chat. Why do you look for hashtags with good viewership but not millions? So if you say looked for the hashtag dogs, you would find millions of you know, hashtags about dogs. So if you also use that, you have less visibility because it could just get lost in the mix. So if you search hashtag literacy ON, maybe there's 50,000 hashtags surrounding it. And then, but if you search something or use something that has millions, it has a chance to sort of get lost in the shuffle. So that's why we say find a hashtag with good viewership, but not millions, so it doesn't get really lost. And like I mentioned before, we all get lost in doom scrolling, and there's so much content, and we really want to make sure that content is accessible, and we want to make sure that we're found, and that's the purpose of social media. So yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, millions, not good. Good viewership is what you're looking for. So a couple of reminders. Not all social media is created equal. So what I mean by this is that not every platform is the same. There's so many different new platforms all the time. You know, YouTube is not Instagram, and Instagram is not Twitter. And I know today that I only talked about the 4 sort of heavy hitters of social media, but not every platform may be suitable for every organization. So you don't have to use them all. I like to use them all and see what works best on different ones. And as you get more comfortable with social media and analytics and things like that, you can see, you know, the best times to post, the best things to post, and what really does well and what doesn't. Because we all have busy lives and we want to use social media to our advantage, but we also don't want to be wasting our time. So that being said, consider partnering or sharing resources or costs or outsourcing social media help. I know a lot of different businesses who outsource their social media help, and they have professionals who are on top of all the algorithm changes and all the new features and all of that. And you can still get out information you want. I know a lot of nonprofits don't have a lot of budget for that, but there are different programs that offer nonprofit rates. You could consider sharing the cost with another organization. So if you have a similar organization to yourself, or you're funded under the same umbrella, that's just something to consider. And the other thing I wanted to mention is ask for help, which is, I know it's hard for a lot of people to do, but if you're sharing information about an event or anything like that, and you're not doing great on social media, ask for help within your networks of your community. Ask for help when you need it. There are so many different free programs, webinars, software pieces. If you're a nonprofit, there's a nonprofit network. There's free newsletters that you can sign up for with tips or anything like that. There's lots of different things that you can do to really give yourself a leg up when it comes to social media. So just wanted to keep that in mind. And some homework, because everyone loves homework. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the best things and next steps for everyone to do in this if you're not already doing so. So actively link with other community partners. So maybe this means focusing on underrepresented groups like women, Indigenous persons, visible minorities, immigrants, people with disabilities, racialized groups, different things like that. So if you're offering your support by following their pages and liking and commenting and sharing their posts, I think it's great to tag other people in relevant activities. And try sharing the post of one organization or maybe even just a link of your website in the next week. So maybe if somebody is not familiar with posting or you don't do it a lot, try something different. Try sharing a post from somebody different that you don't normally follow, that maybe you can increase your followers and increase your community at that time. The other thing I'd like to encourage people to do is to look for content that you might think might be suitable for your organization, and maybe find a new trend and see how it works for you. But whether that's, a trending sound clip that you could use on a video, or just something that's really trending. And when you're looking through social media in the back end, there's a little spot, if you scroll down, and you can see sort of trending events, names, or hashtags, depending on the platform. So you could see, what you're doing. The other thing is I wanted to encourage is to create a social scheduling calendar, whether that be in your own personal, Outlook calendar or anything else, or whether that's an Excel spreadsheet, but just make yourself a goal and sort of hold yourself accountable. I actually block a section of my calendar every day that says social catch up and scheduling. So I have a little reminder for myself. I keep it to a half an hour so that I'm not stuck in a doom scroll, and I just look for different things and get it done. And maybe I'm not posting during that time. Maybe I'm actually just going through and sharing relevant content, or liking or commenting on somebody else's comment. And as I mentioned previously, set up a link in bio function if you have an Instagram account. There are free programs out there. I just saw a question in the chat. What are decent scheduling programs other than Hootsuite that are free but limited? Thanks. I currently use Hootsuite, but there's a lot of different platforms that you can use that are all encompassing. Some platforms that are free are just single platform specific, but a lot of programs are paid, and if they are free, they are limited, which I agree, I have run into as well. And I know with limited budget, that's hard. There are different programs like Sprout, I believe, is another Hootsuite sort of equivalent. And somebody else just posted in the chat, boosted Facebook posts are one of our best marketing tools for courses. Yeah, that's a great point. Boosted Facebook and Instagram posts. There's a lot of different sort of elements to that. There's some great courses out there on there for that. We currently have a boosted Facebook post campaign going on right now that is going well. So I encourage you to sort of look into those things. And yes, Summer just mentioned that there's a great social media scheduler in Canva if you use that, and Canva is free. But again, they encourage you to sort of bump up your account for the paid option that sort of comes in. But it's definitely worth it to invest in different sort of tools that can help you with your social media. It makes everything so much easier. Like I mentioned, I personally use Hootsuite, so you can really schedule your posts in there. You can see everyone who's tagged you in anything. You can see your feeds and all in one place. So I don't have to go into 5 different platforms separately and look through. I can sort of just go through and manage it all from there. And as I mentioned, it's not perfect, it's not great. And I actually use a program called Later to schedule Instagram because I find it more accessible. And that's also where I do the link in bio as well for free. So, and yeah, Carrie just mentioned Canva has a free nonprofit option. Yes, that's correct. And like I mentioned before, there are many, many different software pieces or programs that have nonprofit rates. So definitely worth it to look into all of that kind of stuff if you're needing budgetary support in that way. And this page I have just added because I know this is going to be shared out later. So this is just sort of a short list of resources. And some of these are Ontario based and some of them are local to us, but there's definitely a lot of great tips and resources on here. There's the LOC social media handles and community directory. And I really encourage you to do what Carrie has, where we linked everyone's social media handles in your community and sort of send it around to everyone. And like I mentioned before, if you don't have the same handle for every platform, for everything that you do, it's hard to find, everybody's everything if they're not linked to their websites. So there's lots of different links and resources out there. Question in the chat for boosted posts on Facebook. Can you talk about how important you think it is through setting your target audience? So when you do Facebook boosted post, they boost them by the target audience. So I think that it is important because that's who they're targeting. So when Facebook gathers all of their data in the background from people's profiles, sort of what they're into, that's how their algorithm figures out how to push it out to. So if you're selecting 25 to 35-year-olds, sort of thing, it's going to push it out based off all the parameters that you're selecting. So I think the more specific you can be, the more it's going to help you in the long run. I hope that answers your question. And Carrie, I think you or Rita were going to put this link in the chat and just a quick survey that you can tell us how you did, and we appreciate if everyone could fill that out. But I want to take a minute to see if anyone has any more questions. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you, Rita, for posting that. Now it's in the chat.
So does anybody have any questions or comments for Rachel? Or experiences that you want to share?
Because I would love if anyone has tips or anything. Everyone is we can always all learn from each other.
Actually, I do have a question. When you were talking about hashtags, like, how do you see how many, like, I'm on TikTok, let's say, I post all my runs of my dogs and stuff. So when I go like husky, it shows me a hashtag, but it doesn't show me how many viewers, like how many followers, or so like I'm just wondering where you see that.
Yeah, so TikTok's a little bit different in that if you're searching by hashtag, it's not like overly helpful to see how many are posting. I do have my own TikTok. I don't have like a work TikTok account, but I'm wondering if you could log on and use your desktop, and there might be more viewers than there. Oh yeah, so sorry. I just checking this on my phone right now. So if you say hashtag Husky, you can scroll over. There's different tabs. So there's top users, videos, sounds, and then hashtags. So if you scroll over, it says Husky has 24.2 billion views.
Oh, okay, so that, see, if I would use that hashtag, my video would get lost in there.
Sure, yeah. So then I look down, it actually gives you a list of suggested hashtags. So Husky Life has 44.1 billion, but Huskies with an S only has 395 million. So it gives you like all these options and tells you like how many, you know what I mean? So the more specific you get with your hashtag, the smaller the views. So if you just scroll over to the top and you go over to the hashtag section, you can see the viewership for those.
Okay, so it's funny. I always thought the more viewers there was, the more it would get out there. So
Yeah.
it's good that I didn't know that. So that's,
Yeah, for TikTok, it's a little bit different because everyone's just looking for like thousands and thousands of views, and that's like sort of the point of the platform. You either want things to just like blow up, but if you're using Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and you're sort of trying to reach more of a niche department in terms of like work and organizational work, not like your personal sort of or an influencer sort of life, you want to make sure that you're using a hashtag that doesn't have, millions and millions of people.
and when you're on Facebook and you hashtag, like, how would you see that on Facebook or Instagram, let's say?
So when you open Instagram and you go to the search bar and you would to like say, again, you want to type in the word hashtag Husky if you're looking up for a dog, and then it would show you the result again underneath of it. It shows the different iterations of that hashtag and how many posts there are attached to those.
Okay.
So like 23.5 million people have posts about hashtag Husky.
Okay.
Mhm.
So when you're an organization and stuff like that, you want to try to find the hashtags that have a little bit less traffic in it.
Yeah, so hashtags are a sort of a tricky sort of funny thing. So you want to use a lot of hashtags and you want a hashtag that people are searching for. But then if you use the same hashtag on each of your posts, say for a lot of our posts, we use hashtag Team WDB because we're Workforce Development Board. So if you continue to use one hashtag for all your posts about your organization, in addition to say maybe location hashtags and what your content is about hashtags, that's what I think you're sort of hitting all of the areas that you need to.
All three, okay.
Yeah.
I've noticed that college has a Facebook page, but they never use hashtags or anything like that. So it is an interesting thing that you brought up that I'm interested in maybe discussing with them.
Yeah, so you can go through different platforms and see how many hashtags are there. And again, with different social media, it's trial and error. Try it and see what works. If it doesn't work, try something different. All you can do is try to sort of cover all your bases.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I'm just reading some more questions in the chat. Yes, I agree that presenting a copy of Cree Syllabus would be great interest for First Nations members as well. Yeah, that would be interesting to see all of that on flyers, and we hope to see, you know, more of that come through from different organizations as well. I think that'd be great.
And if it's okay, can I share something that happened to me recently? I'm pretty new to the whole social media thing. I mean, I use it, but in terms of sharing and that kind of thing, I tend to share other people's stuff and rather than create. And recently I've been on the Family Literacy Day committee, and I put my hand up when they needed somebody to post on Facebook. And so I've been doing that, and I used the scheduler, and it was absolutely amazing to be able to schedule all your posts for the month. And then you can also make sure you've got that consistency that Rachel talked about and the flow, and that you're not posting thank yous to sponsors all in a row. You've mixed it up a little bit. You've got some different things so you can see it. You can create the schedule for the month and look at the big picture of how it is. And then you can still post in between. So that was I found that really helpful, as well as I was finding that I didn't have much of a reach. And so I just contacted the committee and said, hey, can you share these posts? And it was amazing. It just posts and reshares and likes, and it just really, really blew up, which was fantastic. And it was, as Rachel said, ask, but what I never thought of, Rachel, is asking board members, your board of directors to help share. I think that was quite a brilliant idea. So it's about asking for help, asking other people to share. And one of the things that we talked about recently at a community networking group is to share for each other. So when you post something, if you want other people to share, you could just ask. So ask for help. So is there any other questions, any comments, anything that other people have experienced they want to share?
I love the idea of scheduling, because social media fatigue is a big
Huge
problem for me. I don't post much on social media ever anymore, and I used to be quite active. So I definitely second Carrie's scheduling ahead of time, blocking time off to do it. And don't think you're going to do it randomly, because it just doesn't happen. You just get tired and busy, and it's always the last thing on the list.
Yes, that is an excellent point, and I am definitely guilty of that. Absolutely. And ask me about my personal social media that is dead, that I never post anything because I do it for work all of the time. So my personal social media is sort of stagnant and dead in the water, which I'm fine with. But yes, definitely schedule your time. On what I find really helpful personally for me is and Carrie and I talked about this, I set a timer. So, you know, you can get lost doom scrolling and sharing and, you know, looking through things. And when there wasn't that separation between personal Facebook and business page Facebook, you get caught up in something over here and then something over there. And really, if you're sort of setting, I have 30 minutes, I'm going to go share, go look at 4 organizations I know, share something, like something, or comment on something, and, maybe do that once a week or once a month. It does get put in the back burner, but it's something that if you schedule the time in for it, you can always move it around, but just make sure that you're sort of getting it done. And I'm definitely guilty of that as well, but I find it really helpful to sort of, make the time and schedule it in for yourself. And someone in the chat just said, keep content simple so you can post more often and it's manageable. Definitely. And when we're making content, what we call making it evergreen. So something that you can reuse. So make 5 images that, for different things and sort of reuse them. So
post them. Yeah. I would also suggest, if you're looking for copyright usable, so Creative Commons type material, Unsplash is really great for getting images that just kind of are available, and you can put text on top of them. They kind of can be your background. I use that quite a bit just for as faculty in our program, we actually have a faculty advisor, like an academic advisor. So I use that for my posts that I send to my students, which is similar to reaching out in social media, but I also use Unsplash quite a bit for just those background images, quick and easy. Unsplash.com, I'll put it in the chat. And it's Creative Commons, like free to use. You're not violating copyright. All they ask is for an attribution. And so just a quick one for everyone. I just take the attribution and either put it in my post, or if I have time, I plop it on top of the image. So it's just there as a text box on top, save it, and then it's right there. Hang on, I'll type it in for you. So yeah, that's one of the things, because it's always popular sounds. I don't know where to get sounds. I don't usually use those.
TikTok or thank you for those points, Lee. I think that's great. I also use Unsplash a lot there too as well.
Save yourself from copyright violation.
Yes. Look into your copyright for everything. Do not steal other people's work and creative work. But yeah, there's definitely different things out there. There's Adobe Stock. We have an Adobe Stock account. I do use Unsplash a lot. Canva has a lot of free different images that you can use. Somebody wrote Pexels is good too. Somebody asked on Facebook, is there a way to boost your post without having to pay money? No, that's how they get you. They're going to make you pay for it, but you can sort of, there are like small pay bands. It's sort of like when you post something on Indeed and you can pay to boost it, you can sort of like choose the amount, but like there's a minimum and there's a thing. So there are some like good cheap things, but obviously if you connect your credit card, just, be aware of those things and watch that, but you do have to pay money. Yeah. And someone mentioned there's great images on Canva Pro. Yes, there is great images on Canva Pro as well. Thank you for those comments and tips. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, sorry, that Carrie had mentioned is that traditionally marketing is a team sport. And I know that a lot of places don't have a communications person. Our board is actually lucky that like there's me and there is a communications person, but not everyone has them. So I encourage you to ask for help or outsource those things, or, dedicate a staff member who might be a little bit social savvy to sort of connect with that. Likewise, you can hire summer students. So if anyone submitted in January for their summer student with the Government of Canada, you could, assign a marketing student to sort of do some social work for you for the summer for 8 weeks. It's another great way to sort of outsource.
I was also going to suggest volunteer hours for maybe somebody, if you've got a high school that has either marketing or business courses, and someone that might want their volunteer hours, but you'd want to be picky to make sure you got someone reliable. But that's another way to do that. One of my friends' businesses has done that before.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you, Lee. Yeah, definitely utilize all of those different things to your advantage. Students or volunteers, or, there's a lot of different people who want experience. If you can offer that to them, that's a great thing.
One of the things that we will share in the follow-up email is a link to it was a Charity Village article about each month. There's the special months and the themes each month, and if you're unsure of what to post, you can access those themes and find the information to share or use Canva to create a post. And if you're sort of wondering what on earth should I post this month or this week, so we will share that out as well.
Yeah, another person just said that they created a spreadsheet with social links and images, and they use that as a template for content. So that's great for people that don't have a lot of social media skills. I do that too. I track different posts and images and keep it all together. So there's always a copy of that if, you know, if I'm not around or somebody else needs to post something in different hashtags we use. So yeah, if you do have the time, that's a great thing to do for your organization. Yes, another thing about volunteers managing socials, it's tricky and they need to know your voice, your brand assets and things like that. Definitely. So I've actually had a marketing student as well. I had one last summer. So obviously we didn't give them direct access to anything, but I still had them creating, you know, images, creating content, and then it would go through me first before we post it. But definitely something that could help you take some of the weight off your shoulders for sure.
Great. So any other comments or questions? All right. Well, I would like to say thank you, Rachel. Always tips, always things, like I said, the board of directors, I've written that down, lots of doable things. I'm going to suggest following Rachel's homework, and we'll send out the link to the slides as well, so and the video, so you'll have all of that. The evaluation is in the chat, so if you can please fill that out, that would, Rita and I would greatly appreciate that, and we'll share that with Rachel as well. And also just final workshop in the series, there's the form again, thank you, Rita. And the final workshop in our marketing series is March 2nd. It's a full day on storytelling. So come join us and learn to be the storyteller and share what we do and be more memorable than some stats. So, all right. So like I say, please fill that out. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to myself or for Rita. And there's the link to the storytelling workshop. All right. So thank you all for joining us. It's always nice to get some new tips. Social media can feel like a whole other job on top of our jobs. So it's nice to find some way to streamline things. All right, so I'm going to just stop here.